Hi, it's me, Tasha, and back with another video, and this time I'm doing a book review. Here we are! Okay, so this book is the very first self-help book that I actually finished. Started a lot, didn't finish them all, and this is the very first book that I've actually even started that has to do with money. Okay, so what we have here is Millionaire Teacher, the 9 Rules of Wealth You Should Have Learned in School by Andrew Hallum. Second edition. That is key, second edition, because the first edition was written ages ago, and the second edition is all updated information. Okay, so you gotta get second edition. All right. Oh, key thing I want to point out, international bestseller. Okay, so as you might have guessed, Andrew Hallum, he was a teacher, and I don't even know what he taught, but he taught something. And when he would find himself back in the lunchroom or the staff room for the teachers, his colleagues were the ones who kept asking him about money and about investments and about saving, and they are the ones who had all the questions for him. And being the teacher that he is, he didn't want to simply just, you know, give them the answer. He wanted to teach them how to fish. You know that expression, you know, you give a man a fish, he'll eat for one day. You teach a man to fish, he'll eat for his whole lifetime, right? So he wanted to teach them how to fish. So he was constantly going out looking for articles and, you know, data, stats about, you know, things that were going on back in the day, right? When he was doing all this, and he was sharing it with them. And then, you know, I guess he just figured, I'm kind of repeating myself over and over, so he wrote a book. So thank you, Andrew, for writing this book, okay? And that's basically how he got started, all right? So I really want to point out the subtitle, which is The 9 Rules of Wealth You Should Have Learned in School. Why aren't our kids, and why didn't we learn this in school? Why didn't we learn this? Because I think, and maybe I'm wrong, I'm willing to be wrong, but I do think that we all agree that learning about money and learning about credit and credit cards and interest rate and budgeting and the credit bureau and mortgages and how to pay your taxes and how to reduce your tax burden, I feel like that information should be taught to kids of all ages, age appropriate, of course, but definitely 100% to a grade 11 and 12 student. Why aren't they being taught that? I think we have to ask ourselves that question. Why aren't they being taught? There has to be a reason. I'm a skeptic, and I personally think everything always has to do with money. So the fact that they're not being taught, but we all agree as parents and as humans that it's valuable information, then we have to also ask, who is benefiting for our students and our children and our young people? Who benefits from them not knowing? And if there is someone who benefits from them not knowing, how are they benefiting? How are they benefiting from this? And why does that benefit outweigh common sense, or the greater good? Who is allowing them to benefit? Is someone allowing them to benefit? I don't know. I don't know the answers to these things. Of course, I have my own opinions. I'd be interested to hear some of yours. Let's get into the book review. Who is this book for? It is for the beginner. 100% it is for the beginner. His first chapter, he talks about budgeting, okay? So it's 100% for a beginner, someone exactly like me, right? You know, you made all this money working so hard the last 10 years, and what do you have to show for it? Like you're on your third couch, okay? That's about it. Where did I hear about this book? So I subscribe to the Personal Finance Canada Reddit sub, and my first post in there was, hey everyone, I'm new to this, you know, what book should I read? And everyone had listed, like, you know, many starter books, but every single person had Millionaire Teacher in their list of suggestions. And in the actual sub itself, it tells you to read Millionaire Teacher. So this was the first book that I selected, since it was unanimous. Everyone thought that it would be beneficial for a newbie. What is the book about? How to be smart with your money. How to see it year after year after year. See it in dollars, not in stuff, or not in your storage closet, or not in the loads and loads of donations that you give away every year. But see the money in the bank. So he's got the 9 rules. Okay, so I got some notes here, so you'll see me looking down. So rule number 1, he talks about budgets and spending. The importance of budgets and how to spend your money. He specifically goes into the 3 big rocks of life, which is buying a car, buying a house, and buying food. That's where I think we can really, really hone in and bring in our expenses and really make these emotional decisions more a math decision. And we can really, really, really exponentially increase our wealth. Those purchases: a car, a home, and food. Okay? I also really want to point out, and Andrew also really points out, that budgeting is not about deprivation. It's not about couponing, okay, by far. Budgeting is really telling your money where to go and what to do. Every dollar. It's giving it a job. You worked, you got this money, now you're gonna send it back out into the world to serve you. And you're gonna do it very intentionally. That's what a budget is. Rule number 2, he talks about compound interest. Okay, so compound interest is everyone's best friend. Everyone who cares about their money and is trying to build wealth, build financial security, financial freedom. We all care about compound interest. The beauty of compound interest is it's good if you start young, and if you're not young, you need to start now. Okay? Now, if you're watching this video and you're 30, 40, 50, 60, and you think you're too old, you're not too old. Let me tell you, you are not too old. The average life expectancy in Canada is 81 years old. 81. So if you're 40 and you're watching this video, you need to get started and you need to start benefiting on compound interest today. okay? You're middle age, all right? You've got half your life to still live. Do you want to live the rest of your life, the next second half of your life, broke? Or do you want to live in style? It's up to you. Third rule he talks about are fees. Fees. We hear this word all the time. Fees, advisor fees, marketing fees, front load fees, back end fees, broker fees, right? There's tons. Those are just the ones I got off the top of my head. So there's tons and tons of fees in the investment, financial advising, stock market. There's tons and tons of fees in this industry. And you really need to know what you're paying for. When you go to the grocery store and it says, you know, box of cereal is $3.99, you know you're paying $3.99 for what's in the box of cereal, okay? But to eat a bowl of cereal, right, you need a bowl, you need a spoon, you need milk, and you need a fridge to keep the milk, and then you might need like a kitchen to store the box because you're not going to eat the whole entire box in one sitting. So there's other fees that go along with making yourself a bowl of cereal, and you really just need to know what it all costs you. And of course, we don't want to pay unnecessary fees. So he is amazing when he talks about the fees in rule number 3. So rule number 4, he talks about discipline, self-discipline, and about managing your own emotions. And when you are investing monthly and either you're not seeing anything move or you're seeing a lot of movement and it's going in your favor or it's not going in your favor. And we are going to have emotions no matter what, whether your investments are stagnant, whether your investments are going up, or whether your investments are going down. You're going to have your emotions, and you need to remain disciplined, and you need to rely heavily on your plan, okay? Now, in rule number 5, he talks about actually creating a portfolio. How much should go in bonds? How much should go in, you know, commodities? How much should go in stocks, mutual funds, just stuff like that. So he really talks about creating a balanced and holistic portfolio. And then in rule number 6 and 7, he talks about the individual markets based on your location, which I personally love. So he talks about America, Canada, Great Britain, Australia, and Singapore. And so you can really, as a Canadian, kind of go there and be like, okay, you know, for my geographic area, you know, these are some of the things that I can really look to after I'm done reading this book, right? He specifically points out the couch potato portfolio, which we'll talk about later, but I definitely want to cover couch potato because that's huge in Canada, okay? And he talks about that, and he also gives you actual suggestions of companies that you can deal with. And a lot of the companies that we know about, that I can tell you off the top of my head, I can tell you about Wealthsimple, I can tell you about Questrade. You know, it doesn't mean that they're the best. And I'm not saying that they're the worst. It just means, because I know about them, and I literally don't know much, they just have a bigger marketing budget. It's really all that it is they just decided to spend more money in marketing and putting out ads and putting out commercials and putting out billboards. And it doesn't mean that they're the best and that, you know, I'm going to go to them. So I like that Andrew Hallum gave us some really good suggestions of where we can do business. Not should, you know, or not would, but this is where we can do business. And I've actually researched the Canadian suggestions and they look pretty good to me. And then the ninth rule, he talks about avoiding seduction. It's literally what he calls it. And it's just about the get rich quick schemes, about like single stocks, stuff like that. And he really brings it back full circle in reminding the reader that this is a crock pot recipe. It's not a microwave. You're going to read this book. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to follow the rules. You're going to make changes, put in, you know, execute some of his suggestions, and you're going to wait. You're going to wait. And you're going to be patient, and you're going to be disciplined, and you're going to be diligent, and you're going to win. And it's a crock pot, okay? It's not a microwave. This is not going to be done in 90 seconds, okay? And so he talks about that, and he also gives you some rebuttals for if you have a financial advisor right now. He will give you some rebuttals to some of the common things that they might say. Not all of them, okay? But by and large, financial advisors are salespeople, and they're there to sell you something. And so if you're going to be going somewhere else to talk to someone else, or if you're going to be going in alone, they don't want to lose your business. And so they're going to have comments to make, and then Andrew gives you those rebuttals. Okay. So those are the 9 rules. Okay. So my key takeaway from this book, okay, Millionaire Teacher by Andrew Hallum. Love this book. My key takeaway from this book is Andrew. Okay, how many people have heard of the term buy low and sell high? I've heard of that many times, but how do you do that? How do you actually do that? Especially if I'm going to be investing money on a monthly basis. I'm going to be dropping money in here on a monthly basis. How do I actually buy low and sell high? Like actually do it. He tells you how. He tells you how, okay? I didn't even know that I didn't know how until he told me how. Right? Isn't that so weird? Okay. So that is one of my takeaways. Another takeaway that I have is the allocation of how to create a balanced portfolio. And then again, 100% definitely the Canadian companies that he recommended. As a Canadian girl, I just wanted a jump off point. And it's so funny. Once I started Googling those company names, you know, Google, so nosy, right? Started all up in my feeds and my social media and my all my future Google searches, these ads for, you know, similar companies, right, started popping up, right? And so, you know, now Google knows, all right, okay, you know, my blinders are off and I'm looking at my money now, so Google knows this already. So so my final rating is, how do I feel about this book? And a scale of obsessed, love, and like, this book 100% gets a love. Love, love, love. All right, so that's it for my very first book review, Millionaire Teacher. by Andrew Hallum, 2nd edition. Go and get it, guys. You won't regret it. Until next time, I'm gonna keep climbing that ladder. The bottom is just way too crowded.